Barber, come here. Good. Barber, Dinga, yours is there. Hello guys, and welcome to another episode. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. Hey, did anybody make that recipe for their dogs? I know mine loved it. I hope yours did too if you make it. If you didn't, check it out. We had a great recipe with turkey and potatoes. It was delicious. This week we're going to do something a little bit different. We're actually going to do a vegetarian recipe. And for this one, we're going to do brown rice, barley, lentils, carrots, and sweet potatoes. It's a really good meal. It's got a lot of nutrition in it. And at this point, you might be wondering, vegetarians and dogs, can dogs be vegetarians? Well, actually, yes, they can. You see, dogs, like us humans, they're omnivores. And that means that they can subsist on both meat or a vegetarian diet. Now, this doesn't mean you have to do one or the other. It just means that they can do that, just like humans. Now, of course, as with humans, you want to make sure that they get all the nutrients they need, complete proteins, amino acids, all that good stuff. But for this recipe, this one's going to be vegetarian, and it's going to have a combination of vegetables and proteins and grains, a really good meal. And as with all the meals that I do here on Barking Good Chef, you can serve this as is, or you can mix it in with their food to make the existing food that you're giving your dog go a little bit farther. So this is a one-pot meal. It comes together in about, let's say, an hour and a half, and most of that is just kind of letting it simmer on the stove. So here we go. Let's make brown rice, barley, lentils, sweet potatoes, and carrots, a vegetarian feast for your dog. Great, so let's go over our starting lineup here with the ingredients we're going to be working with. Obviously, we've got brown rice. This is just a bag of long grain. We've got lentils. These are great, protein-packed, awesome. They've got a lot of fiber as well. We've got, of course, barley. I just have some here in the jar. I buy mine in the bulk section. And when I was making this video, when I was shopping for it, I noticed that, usually you can find barley in bags in the rice section, but for some reason I couldn't find it at either store I went to, but it's still easy to find in bulk section. So I usually just grab it in bulk and then I load it into a container. We've got a sweet potato or yam, you can use either, and here is a carrot. And of course for our liquid portion we're going to use 6 cups of water. And here's how we're going to turn all of this into a vegetarian feast for your dog. Okay, first things first, we want to get our water to a boil. So before I do anything else, I just like to kind of get that started so you're not waiting around for the water to boil. So here we go. We're going to use 6 cups of water. You can experiment with this. You can use more, you can use less. I found that 6 cups works really well. If you want to use vegetable broth, you can do that for some added nutrients. And then if you want to, I guess, make this a non-vegetarian meal, then you could use chicken stock, you could use beef broth. Any of those liquids would work, but for this one, I'm just using water. So we're going to pour this in. And then I'm just turning this to medium high to get it up to a boil. This is, by the way, it's just like a basic 8-quart pan. So any large pan you have is going to work great, but I'd go at least 6 quarts for this recipe because it does make quite a bit of food as well. So we're just going to kind of let this hang. This is going to come up to a boil. This only takes 10 minutes or less for this to happen. So while the water comes up to a boil, we're going to prep the rest of our ingredients. Mise en place. Mise en place. Mise en place. Do you know what that is? First thing they teach you in culinary school, mise en place. Get everything ready so you're not rushing around forgetting an ingredient or doing anything like that. Mise en place. Mise en place. Mise en place. Okay, so let's measure out those ingredients. We are going to use 2 cups of brown rice. And again, I like to, I put my rice in a big container as well because we use so much of it. Okay. It's 1 and 2. And we're not like baking here. This doesn't have to be like exact, anything like that. Okay, barley. I like cooking with barley. I really like mixing barley and brown rice. It's another grain. It's kind of like rice. I don't know if you can see this. It's kind of got a nutty flavor. You might have had it with like beef and barley soup. It's really kind of chewy, nutty. It's good. So here's a cup of this. And then finally, we are going to add a cup of lentils. And again, lentils are like little powerhouses of nutrition. I love these things. You might have had lentil soup. That's a popular way of doing it. And 1 cup of lentils. So these are going to be our dry ingredients. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give all of these a rinse. So I'm going to put these into a colander. We're going to kind of rinse these off, kind of get rid of some of the dust and maybe other little things that are on it, okay? Okay, that takes care of 3 of the ingredients, and now for the carrots and the sweet potato. I'm just using 1 large carrot and about half of a sweet potato. You can use more or less. We're kind of aiming for about 1 cup each, so you know, give or take. Again, this doesn't have to be exact. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to peel the sweet potato, and I obviously just got a potato peeler, so we're just going to kind of peel this. This is great. Our water's like already at a boil, and this is why I love multitasking and kind of thinking ahead when you're cooking, because you know, you wouldn't want to be like doing all this and then say, oh geez, now I have to like wait for the water to boil. It's all about efficiency in cooking. So I'm actually going to turn this down and just kind of let this simmer while we get the rest of the ingredients together. Okay, that's going to be good enough for now. So let's say we'll do about this much, and I'm going to save the rest for maybe another use. When you're cutting round objects like this, whether it's a yam like this or a carrot, you always want it to be stable. That's a really good, safe way of cutting these things, because you don't want the knife slipping from your hands. So what I like to do is cut it in half. Then I like to lay it flat like this. See, that way it's not going to move. If I tried to cut this potato like this, I have a risk of slipping. You don't want to do that. So nice and flat. And then from here, I'm just going to kind of cut it like this. And then I'll just dice into pieces. And guys, if there's a little bit of skin on it, like you see here, that's going to be fine. You can always peel it off afterward or whatever. I'm going to kind of leave these in larger chunks. My dogs are bigger, so they're fine with it. If you've got a small dog, then obviously cut these into really small bite-sized pieces. But just, you know, do it according to your dog's size. And these are going to get pretty soft and almost mushy with this, so they'll be pretty easy to chew. And you know, if you see a large piece, you can always just cut it. So I'm going to do the rest, same thing with this guy, and toss it into my bowl. Okay, and same deal with the carrot. You don't have to peel it if you don't want to peel it, just make sure you scrub it really good. But we'll just kind of give this a quick peel. Carrots, they're good for your eyes. Okay, water's boiling. We got everything prepped. Let's put it all in the pot and let this thing rip. So we're just gonna put in our rice, barley, and lentils. And then finally our vegetables, our sweet potatoes and our carrots. Awesome. We can, I'm going to turn this back up to medium high. What you want to do now is you want to let the water come back to a boil. And I'm going to give this a quick stir here. Now again, with the recipes that I make for dogs, I don't do like crazy seasonings, right? Maybe just a little bit of salt, and for this I'm going to use some rice vinegar. That I like adding vinegar to rice. You can use white vinegar, you can use rice vinegar. That's going to help kind of keep things from sticking too much. So feel free to add just a little bit of salt, and then this is just some rice vinegar. Just going to add this here too. Kind of stir it in, and again we're just kind of waiting for this to return to a boil. We're getting real close here. And then from there, we just put a lid on it and let it simmer. Okay, good news. That was the hard part. So our water is back at a boil. All you have to do now is turn this to low. We're going to cover this up. I'll give it one last stir before we do this. Put a lid on it. And you're like basically done. The stove and the pot are going to take care of the rest. So as for cooking time, this is going to take anywhere from, let's say, 40 minutes to an hour. A lot of it depends on the pot you're using, the heat, how old the rice is, a lot of things like that. I'm using a semi-clear lid here, so that's going to help a little bit. But I start checking this maybe after about 30-35 minutes, and you're just waiting for all of that liquid to be absorbed. Everything's going to be nice and puffy, but that's about it. So I've got my handy stopwatch here. I'm just going to start timing this, and after maybe about 30-35 minutes, we'll check this. So here we go. Go, I don't know, grab a drink or something. Kick back. It's been just under half an hour and we're actually looking really good. This cooked even quicker than I had anticipated. And that's kind of the deal with rice. Sometimes it'll take longer, sometimes it'll take shorter. So what I love about this recipe is that everything cooks together and it all takes just about the same time. So the rice is done, the lentils are done, the potatoes are nice and soft. So this took quicker than I expected, and maybe it will for you too, but it's been about a half an hour, and let's take a look. So we're just gonna kind of lift the lid here. Yeah, this looks great. And what you can do to make sure it's done is just kind of take a spoon and go down to the bottom and see all that water is nice and absorbed. So everything is nice and fluffy. So I'm going to turn the heat off. And what I'll do now is just kind of fluff it. I've just got a wooden spoon here, so I'm just going to kind kind of fluff it here. What this is going to do is this is going to kind of let off that steam. Look at that. That is just perfect. All right, so we'll get it nice and fluffed, and then we'll just put the lid on and just kind of let it do its thing. I'd let this go for about 5 more minutes. Just kind of let some of that steam and everything kind of condense back into the rice, and you've got homemade vegetarian dog food. So that's all you have to do. Now, for serving, I would wait until this cools to about lukewarm and then serve it to your dogs, and then refrigerate the rest. And then, of course, when you're reheating it, pop it in the microwave, heat it to about lukewarm, and then serve it to your dogs. I think they're gonna love it. If you want to add a little extra to it, you can put maybe a drizzle of ketchup. You can add eggs if you want even more protein, some gravy, whatever you have. That is how to make a homemade vegetarian dog food feast for your best friend. So as always, thank you for watching. If there's something that you're interested in learning how to make, or have a suggestion, comment below, ask a question, let me know. If you haven't already, please hit, or is it smack the like button? I've seen a lot of YouTubers say smack the like button now, so I don't know, smack it. Smack, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.